we have made it to 2023, and that means I'm going to be talking about my first 2023 movie. Yes, I'm still working on my best and worst of the year list videos. The worst of the year will definitely be coming out pretty shortly, just because that's a lot easier to make than the other one, because the other one, obviously Cam features in it most years, and or every year now, and we have to like coordinate that, so that's a whole thing. But in the meantime, I saw Skinamarink, and a lot of people are talking about this movie, especially over TikTok. A lot of people have been giving this movie attention recently. A lot of divisiveness has come out about it, and I really wanted to see it for myself. So, with Skinamarink, I was expecting something interesting. I was expecting something pretty spooky, pretty, thrilling. Its presentation definitely is the first thing that you notice about this movie. Obviously, it's shot all through, like, analog film that is really outdated, and with a lot of shots that are purposefully, not where the action is. The characters and the stuff that's going on is purposely always out of frame and always out of the shot. And that's obviously a stylistic choice that a lot of people aren't going to get over. A lot of, I guess, mainstream horror fans, I hate to even say that because, but a lot of people that are just going to the movies aren't going to love that part. And a lot of people on TikTok were saying, don't go see this in the theater. It's way too quiet. It's way too still for a lot of it to see it in a movie theater with a lot of other people. And I actually had a really good theater experience. Everybody was pretty quiet and pretty into the movie, which was definitely a positive in my experience. So, I mean, I think you should see this in a theater just because of the sound design and how immersive it is. But again, I really lucked out, and my theater was pretty quiet. So, there's that. Anyway, I really liked Skinamarink. I liked it a lot. It really starts off 2023 kind of with a bang here. Excuse me. This is technically a 2022 movie. I don't really count it as that just because it was widely released and readily available to watch in 2023. So I count it as a 2023 movie. That's besides the point. A lot of, you know the drill. January horror release. Not a lot of it, hype built up to it, just kind of came out. Expectations weren't that high, honestly. Again, it's a January movie, but this thing really, I'm not going to say blew me away, but really intrigued me and left me wanting a lot more from this filmmaker and in this style of horror. I wrestled a lot with how I felt with this movie throughout it, because one, it was wildly entertaining. It was genuinely very scary, and the filmmaking was excellent. I mean, the shots were all really great. I did like the stylistic choice. I loved how much of a nightmare this movie felt and how not human it very much was. I liked the amount of tension that was built up. I really enjoyed just the atmosphere of this movie and how unnerving it really is. And I really loved a lot of aspects of this movie, and then it can drag in points. There are times in this movie where I felt a little bit bored. There were points in this movie where I felt like they weren't giving us enough, I guess, and weren't capitalizing on pretty scary ideas, and leaving too much up for interpretation, a little too much up to the audience to piece it together in their head. But I will genuinely say that I really, really liked this movie a lot. It scared the shit out of me. It was very much a fun movie to see with friends. It was wildly entertaining, and is the kind of horror movie that I want to see more of. I want to see more of these smaller scale, experimental horror movies. I guess you can call this elevated horror. I hate that term. I feel like you guys know that by now. I really don't like using that. But I want to see more experimental stuff like this. Like, this is the kind of horror movie I would want to make someday, just because of how unique it is and how much of an experience this movie is. I really like the direction that horror is going towards recently, with stuff like Barbarian and Nope and Malignant from 2 years ago. Stuff like this that is I don't know, taking risks. I love that horror is taking risks, and even if it's not pleasing everybody, for me, it really has been wild to see this amount of horror and this amount of good horror that has come out recently. And Skinamarink is definitely part of that. I really, really enjoyed this thing, and I really do recommend it. Its only faults really just come from, I think, this guy being a first-time filmmaker, like his first full-length feature. I know he started out doing YouTube videos of this kind of stuff, and I think the form didn't fully translate with Skinamarink. Like, there were parts that dragged way too much, and, you know, a little too much left up to interpretation. But with a few tweaks, this movie could have been one of my favorites of this year. But definitely one of the best January releases I've seen in a really long time. And I'm going to give Skinamarink a really strong B+. So that's my review for that. I don't really have much else to say, because I already talked about the best and worst of the year list. I've talked about the ad nauseum at this point. What else do I have to say? I'm going to watch The Pale Blue Eye and review that. And other than, yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.